Welcome to a tutorial on how to rotoscope using AI. A few people have reached out to ask how to rotoscope a person or an object from the background, but also use that alpha transparent channel somewhere else. So in this example we have the football player moving the ball about. That is the original video. To quickly isolate the player and the football from the background, we can use Figma Video Background Remover, which is quite good actually. It's built into Figma Weave and it did a very good job here of isolating the football player from the background. It can be a little bit laggy when you're playing the video, depending on the size and the how many tabs you have open on your browser. I have quite a few open on my browser, so it is a little bit laggy, but this is the isolated video. So usually you would want to take this isolated video and move it over onto a different background, or do something else with it. So I would recommend using the compositor node in Figma Weave, and in this example I just have I like this background here, and I used a website called pexels.com, and you can get free videos and free pictures from there, and you can use them on any sort of project that you have without copyright issues. So I got this picture from Pexels, and I put it into this image model ChatGPT image 2 and just asked it to remove the cat, because all I want is the plain background. ChatGPT did a very good job, removed the cat and the shadow, and as a rough example I just put the transparent background of the football player, and you can see that the football player is on top of the grass. Again, this is just an example. With that happening, you can click edit on the compositor node and you can move the different layers around. So this is the alpha, this is the transparent background video, and let's say we put it somewhere here. We close this and we have the grass background we generated as the background and the transparent video as layer 1. In the compositor node you can actually play around with, you have a timeline here, so you have the foreground, you have the background, and you can actually change the time. You can change how long each clip is. I'm going to leave them the same length just so that we have the same length video, and you can see that the football player is on top of the grass. Again, it's a little bit laggy because I have so many tabs open, but you will notice that when you export this video thinking it's done, it actually still has the background embedded and it doesn't look quite right. When exporting it, that background just becomes a flat background again with an MP4 format. And also if you download this transparency, it also has a black background. So what is the workaround? After some trial and error, the workaround I came up with is having the original video and using Figma Video Background Remover to remove the background. What I would recommend is you export this final video. What this final video has, it has the RGB channel, so it has the color channel, but the Figma Video Background Remover also gives it a transparent background. if you just export it, the actual file has the transparent background embedded in it, but it's not visible in our Windows movie player or any other player. So to make it visible and actually use it like how we do in After Effects, what I would recommend is to save the exported video. So export the video, save it to your desktop or somewhere on your computer, and you can see that this video will have an RGB and an alpha channel. What I would suggest is you install FFmpeg, and this will help you split the video into the original video, so the RGB channel and also the transparent channel. So export this video, save it to your computer, and then when you have installed FFmpeg, I would suggest you copy this code into your command line and run it to then get your alpha channel and to get your RGB channel. You will have to give it your path to your to where your file is stored. So if it is on your download folder, you will have to get the download folder link and path and write it here, and you will then have to, wherever you want it saved, you will have to put the a path as well into these sections. When you have the two videos downloaded, drag them back into Figma Weave, and here you have the RGB version and you have the alpha version. So the alpha version is a black and white mask of the actual action, and you have the RGB, which is just the original video. So you could just drag this line into this RGB router, or you can just drag the RGB version that you have downloaded from the FFmpeg program. Once you have done that, use the merge alpha to isolate the subject that you want. Again, I want to use this grass, so I just said remove the ball and the player, and using the compositor node, I put the background as the grass and the merge alpha output as the into the compositor layer 1. Again, we have this where the player is actually on top of the grass. Again, it might be a little bit laggy when doing feed playback, but be rest assured that it actually has done its job. And once you then export in an MP4 format or WebM format, once you export it, it will then export as a proper transparent subject on top of the grass, instead of having the original background merged on top of it, merged behind it. This was the bad example. As you can see, you have the football player merged on top of the grass, but it is almost like nothing has actually taken place because the transparency has not been preserved. And this is the other version with the transparency preserved, and as you can see, the footballer is over the grass. So over here is just your instructions. Again, do some research on how to install FFmpeg onto your Windows or onto your Mac computer. Once you have installed onto your computer, then you can also use this code here, copy this code into your command prompt and run it, and you'll be able to generate your alpha channel and also your RGB channel. But again, you have to change the path to wherever you want to save your alpha channel and your RGB channel, and you also want to change the path of where your original WebM file is. We're going to go through the process from the beginning. We have this robot we have downloaded from pexels.com, So drag it into Figma Weave, and then we search for video background remover. This video background remover helps us isolate the robot from the background, and what we do, we just connect it over to the video input, and the most important part is to click on the video background remover, go to the panel on the right hand side, and on the background color click on this and select transparent. But we also have to have the output container to have to be able to give us the transparency as well. So WebM VP9 or MKV VP9, those two actually give us transparent alpha channels in the video. I'm just going to select WebM VP9 because it's a slightly smaller file, and you can preserve audio if you wanted to, or you can just uncheck this. It's totally up to you. It's going to take a little while to run, and just remember it is 154 credits. If you click run, it will prompt you and remind you of the cost of the credits, just to make sure that you are happy with this. So I'm going to click run anyway, and this will take a while to generate, so I'm just going to speed this up. So now we have the robot isolated from the background. As you can see, the robot is just moving with a transparent checkered background. Okay, I'm going to add an export node. And this is another important aspect. So with the export node, we click on exports, save it to your computer at a space where you know it's going to be handy and you can see it. I'm going to save it to my downloads folder, and what you can do is also rename it. So name it something that you can remember. I'm just going to call it robot 1, and I'm going to save it. It's going to save as a WebM file. So robot 1 here is the file I have downloaded. As you can see, it is a WebM file. So I'm going to scroll up and copy this code here and go to my notepad, paste it in, go back to my robot that I have downloaded, right click it and copy as path. This will be able to help me save the entire location of where the robot was saved, and I can just paste it into this first part here. And then go back to your project. But what we want to do now is have the command line to actually run this code. So click Windows, CMD, the command prompt. We have the command prompt now, and what you do, you just paste what you have just modified, and it will run and create the alpha channel, and it will also create the RGB channel. Alright, it's now done. You go to the downloads folder and you will have the RGB, you will have the robot 1 RGB, and you also have the robot 1 alpha. So I'm going to copy these two and drag them into my Figma Weave project. Brilliant. So now we have the RGB channel and we have the alpha channel. Now this will help us to isolate the robot even better, or should I say re-isolate the robot. So for this, what we need is the alpha merge. So alpha, just search for merge alpha, and you want the RGB to be into the first input, and you want the robot alpha to be in the alpha input. And just like that, we now have a solid separation. Now this solid separation, we can then send it in to the compositor node. I'll just put these tables up here. I want to put the robot on one of these tables, so I'm just going to search for the compositor node, which is quite useful in Figma Weave. You can actually layer different things in the compositor node. So for the compositor node, I want the background to be this table, for example. So this table comes in as the background, and the robot, I want the robot on top of it, so it will be on layer 1. And you can see that is the robot. To position the robot properly, I'm just going to click on edit, and then we have the option to click on layer 1 and move the robot around and resize it. So I'm just going to have it be a small, start off as a small robot. It does zoom in a little bit, so it will grow. And for the background, you can see the times. The time is, the robot plays for a longer clip, but I want it to also, I want the background to be as long as the clip, so I'm just going to extend the background to fit. Okay, so that is done, and now we can play, and we can see that the robot is now on the table. So it might be a little bit janky, a little bit glitchy, but it is on the table. And this is just a rough example just to show you how to use the compositor node, to show you how you can rotoscope an object. Again, you might have to clean it up a little bit, but you can get the robot onto the table. But the good part now is if you export this, so if you go to export, you can export this and actually have the robot on the table without a background. So I'm just going to export this. Right, so it might take a while to export. I have just got my export downloaded, and I'm just going to play it for you just to show you how it looks now. So this is the robot on the table. The transparent background has now become the table background. Again, this is just a rough example. You can still prompt further and try and make it look as realistic as possible, but in some cases you might just be needed to make a different background color, or just to reposition your extracted model on a different background and just resize it for a different use case. Hope that was useful. I will share this workflow in the description below, so any questions, just leave them in the comments and I'll be happy to answer them. Thanks again for watching, and catch you on the next one.